It's Friday evening. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Welcome to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Browns getting ready for the first AFC North matchup of the year. They'll head to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Browns 1-2 on the year and really haven't played terribly well, but still early. First AFC North game of the season. If they get it rolling, things would be in order. And a little bit of perspective, if the Browns are able to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens at 2-2, they would be tied for first place in the AFC North with those Baltimore Ravens. For that to happen, Baker Mayfield and the offense have to get things clicking and rolling a little bit. The Browns feel like they're close, getting really close to getting that offense going. If they're able to do that against the Ravens, they're going to need to do it against a defense that looks a little bit different than it normally does for Baltimore.
They did lose a couple guys. You lost. Anytime you lose a guy like Mosley, Suggs, Weddle, those are guys that have been running that system for a while. So it's a little different looking at it, but they have guys that are stepping up and filling those spots pretty well. And so I think that's what we need to realize is they have younger guys that are playing really well right now, and they're playing well as a unit. And so we have to identify, what they're trying to do and how they're trying to attack us.
What's the importance of not only this game because it's in a division, but they're the division champs. Last year the regular season ended the way it did for you guys. What all goes into that?
It being the first divisional game, I think, is the most important aspect of this. Looking at it, where we can stand in our division, and you separate the season into 4 quarters, and so this last game in this first quarter of the season is a very important one going up against the Ravens.
Odell's getting a lot of double teams. How can you guys take better advantage of that?
I think formatting stuff and just finding the one-on-ones, taking advantage of it. I think we're having to adjust on how teams are playing us, because of him and because of some of our other pieces. But we're figuring it out.
Baker, when you made the rounds at the Super Bowl, you had mentioned in a couple interviews that the way the Baltimore game last year kind of left a bad taste in your mouth. Mm-hmm. Does it still, or is that ancient history?
No, I wouldn't say it's ancient history. I'd say it's kind of a healthy medium of the past is the past, but also looking back on it. And, it was the little details that got us. You look back on, I missed an out route on the last drive of the game to Jarvis where we would have had a first down. And the interception to C.J. Mosley would have never happened. So it's looking back and seeing, what got us beat and how can we get better, but also focus on what's at hand right now.
When you look at how defenses are prepared to face you and what they're doing differently than last year, do you think a lot of it's just because Odell's here and they're adjusting to that, or are they doing things specifically to stop you?
I think it's a mix. I think they're definitely teams are going to try and protect over the top and not have shots over the top of them with number 13, but also, having certain looks and disguising it and giving different looks is something that, we've kind of seen early on. So I expect to continue to see that until we show that we can really beat it.
Do you have the counter for those?
Yeah, no, I think that's something, like I said, continue to improve and have my feet and eyes in the right place. And just recognizing what teams are trying to do and adapting on the fly in the game.
I think it's on the way. It's just fixing those little minute details, executing, and just making more plays. That's really it.
Do you have a sense for what opposing defenses are going to tend to try to do?
Same thing. Whenever I'm on the field since my rookie year, they put a safety, too high safety, double team, play it from the inside out, safety over the top. All these teams that play their style of defense and this and that, and then they get to play, and I'm on the field and they switch it to same thing, double team. So that's just what we expect. That's what I go into the game expecting. I don't go into the game expecting no man-to-man, no safety over the top all game. I definitely don't expect that. Or just right now I feel confident in me like it'd be a long day. So I don't think that that's going to happen. We know how teams are going to play us, so we just got to plan around that.
You guys picked Earl Thomas back for this year, for them this year. What's your view of Earl Thomas?
I love Earl. He's been one of my favorite players before I was even in the league. I remember rookie year we played them at Seattle, and we had to come across the middle one time and just trying not to get hit by him, and he's a phenomenal player. He's been that way all his career, even at Texas. So just being able to see him out there again, coming off his injury and playing football, training with him a few times in LA, just seeing him back out there is it's inspiration, you know, because once you go through something like that, it's tough to get back on the horse and figure out a way to dig deep within yourself and find your game again. So not that it really matters, but proud of him in that sense for being able to do that. He's a tremendous talent.
Odell, Sunday was Baker's 16th career start. He seems to be taking a lot of heat for this team's offense right now. What do you think? Is it more of it?
It's the position he's in. He's the quarterback. He's gonna get the blame. The coaches are gonna get the blame. It's just a blame game. But once you know what's real, none of that really matters. You know, like you said, it's only his 16th game, so I guess he was still a rookie. So I always give him a hard time for that, and you just learn from your so-called mistakes or whatever it is, and you just keep getting better. That's really all we can all do, and I know that that's exactly what he's going to do. And we just got to find a way to make more plays for him.
There's a lot of attention focused on how fast he gets rid of the ball. You know, if it's less than 3 seconds, his completion percentage is around 70 or higher. If he holds on to it longer than 3 seconds, it's around 55. You as a receiver, though, does it help you as a receiver if he gets it out fast, or do you like having that extra time?
Depends on the play. You know, you can't run a post in 2 seconds. So it's tough. It just depends on the play. If he's holding the ball, it might have been a play that's deeper down the field, and he has to. I don't think he would ever intentionally hold it longer than he needs to. So, you know, like I said, we're a couple plays away from getting to where we want to be, and just finding ways for this team to dig deep, and the leaders lead, and the players go out and make plays.
I mean, yeah, they do a lot of great things. Like, number one is definitely stopping the run. They're built to stop the run. Just the big guys up front. They do a great job of, you know, not moving, just kind of sitting down and just not being able to move. So they do a great job with that. But, I mean, we like to run the ball here, so it should be a great test for us.
Mayfield was just talking about the guys they've lost, and one of them maybe who was substantial in the run game. Not that they all didn't have a role, but Mosley, they did a little bit different with a playmaker like that not in the lineup anymore.
They are a little different. I mean, Mo's is just a very, you know, great player, just very talented, and so I mean they're missing him, but he's I don't know. I mean, it's just a Ravens. I'm sure they have someone who can fill in his spot.
Obviously, you guys came so close last year in the finale at Baltimore. Do you use that as fuel or to drive you, the memory that can?
I mean, yeah, it's a good opportunity to go back and kind of finish what we started, because we were close to winning in the very last game. It would have been a great win to go into the offseason with, but it didn't happen. So now we're just looking forward to going there and playing them again.
How much importance do you put on this one, given that, you know, they're the division champs? This is your first AFC North game.
I mean, it's the next game, so it's important for that reason. But we do know, you know, how much this game means to us in the division.
Freddie said the Ravens always really physical, right? That's one of the things that stands out about him. It's kind of in the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice, like, does that jump out from them as opposed to some other teams you guys play against?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's just the personnel for one, and then the guys that have on defense, and then how they play. I mean, they do a great job of, you know, being physical. Like you said, they try to be the bullies, so it'll be a great challenge for us.
Nick, you spent, I know part of your offseason was trying to get more comfortable in the pass catching role. Do you feel that way? I think you've already got like 11 or 12 receptions.
Yeah, I feel better. Just get an opportunity to kind of get out there and run more routes and kind of build on that. But I do feel better.
I think we've made some good strides in the run game this last week for sure. We wanted to try and slow down their pass rush by running the ball as much as we could, and Chubb is a workhorse out there. You know, get him the ball as many times as possible, and then he had some screens too. I see those things. I see us missing plays by, you know, 2 feet here or there. You know, if it's the route, if it's the pass, if it's a block, you know, hold for another second or two. Little things like that, and for me to tell you that I understand all the of the passing game is, you know, I'm just happy I know who I'm blocking on a play, but I know they're working at it, and I know they're trying to improve. I know Freddie's saying he's going to call better plays, and that's what he's been telling us. And it's one of those things where it does take time, and unfortunately, you know, there's only 16 weeks in the NFL, and you know, you're 3 weeks in, and it's like, oh, we haven't been our best, so we're gonna try and work and hopefully put up a good fight and show them what our offense can be this week against Baltimore.
How much importance do you put on it being the first division game and against the division champs. And is there any sense of unfinished business from the finale last year?
Yeah, I wouldn't say unfinished business, but I would say that there's importance in this week. They're in first place in the division right now. I know it's early in the season, but you win this game and you're right there with them. The start is what it is, and you'll be 2-2 in first place in the division. So that's what we're fighting for. Going to Baltimore is always a challenge. They got a loud crowd. They're always into it. Their offense has been electric. Their defense has done big things. Got some big plays, and so it's always a challenge. But it's one we look forward to. It's one of the rivalries. I think every team in our division, there's something special about the rivalry, and this one's just as important. And we're ready to try and get this first division win of the season.
Are they more physical than anybody else you play?
Those big guys inside are tough, man. They're listed at like 330 and 335 and 340. I would probably bump that up a little bit. And it's always a physical game, and I think it's gonna be hot this weekend. And one of those games afterwards, you're like, man, this was a battle. But they're always a physical team, and they're always smash mouth, and that's what they do. They put big guys out there and like try and run the ball. If you can't, then we'll cover and blitz and see what happens.
Browns getting ready to take on the Ravens in that AFC North matchup on Sunday. Want to tell you about the Ohio Lottery, as each week $6.25 million is paid out on Ohio Lottery pick games. That's each and every week. With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailer and try your luck with Pick 3, Pick 4, or Pick 5, the Ohio Lottery. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. When we return, we'll check in with our Browns expert, Jake Burns. We'll get his opinion of where the Browns are and what they might need to do in Baltimore to come out with a victory. More sports and less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Will be right back. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Browns getting ready for the Baltimore Ravens. Time to welcome in our Browns expert, Jake Burns. Jake, I know you've studied a lot of the Browns games extensively. How concerned are you with the way this team is playing right now as they get ready for a huge game in Week 4? 1-2 is the record.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can really say, focus on one side of the football. I think defensively they're fine. I think they've played 3 relatively solid games. Week 1 they had some issues with some downfield throws, but I think that was a byproduct of, sort of overhyping and extending themselves in unnecessary ways. I think they learned from that. So I think my concern finds itself offensively, which I'm sure most fans would agree with. I'm concerned. I mean, they have I always talk about this when the NFL. If you have one issue on an offense or defense, you can usually fix it and be fine. But if you have multiple issues, it's just really hard because you can't narrow it down or peg it to one thing. Like people will ask me this exact question, and it's like I don't have that one sweet answer you're looking for. One play it'll be the tackles break down and they don't get enough depth in their drop and they're beat up field and Mayfield takes a sack. The next play Mayfield leaves a clean pocket or is inaccurate with the throw. The next play, a wide receiver runs a pretty terrible route, or the next play, a guard or center gets bulldozed and you can't get the throw off the. It's just, but the best way to put it is there's just a lack of cohesion, and I don't know. There's no perfect formula for how to fix it. You just have to keep getting reps and you have to keep believing it'll turn itself around. I really think that on a lot of plays, they have opportunities to make plays. It's just, whether it's a passing window or a running lane, whatever. I just think that they're off a beat or two. And it's just 11 guys. You talk about 11 guys being on the same page and working in perfect unison. And right now it's just not happening. So I'm not sure how to fix that. If I knew how to fix it, I sure as heck wouldn't be on this show. I'd be coaching somewhere. But I think that that's something that they're really trying to figure out is how do we get everybody on the same page and how do we get all 11 guys firing at the perfect amount of timing and the perfect amount of effort on every play. Because when that happens, you see that cohesion and you see those teams marching up and down. It's just. I could sit down on the film with you, Dave, and go through every play, and I can say this is what went wrong. Here's the player that did the wrong thing, or missed an assignment, or didn't finish a block, or didn't finish a throw, whatever. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to break down because they found that cohesion for the first time in a while at the end of last year, but it is just not clicking right now. And I hope that they can figure out a way to get these guys on the same page because. Otherwise, it's frustrating. Sunday night was frustrating because it just felt like the Browns didn't know what they were doing, and everyone wants to blame play calling. And while I get that to an extent, it's just to fail at this level, there has to be multiple people failing the way the Browns are going about it right now, and that is certainly true.
When you look at this offense, we've heard from a number of people they feel like they're close. Can you see that? And the other thing, I'll dovetail off of that. There were times against the Rams, and granted the Rams with Aaron Donald are a different animal. There were times when outside they were just beat up. The tackles did not play well.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's you'll break down one play, and here's why I say they're close. So I would agree with that. You break down one play. For example, the Browns got the football off of that nice strip sack return there right before half, 18 seconds or so left. The first play they drop back, come off a play action, and they have a post route to Demetrius Harris that breaks open. It's a little bender route right behind the linebacker. Mayfield steps up. He's ready to drive and throw, but Eric Kush gets pushed off his spot right into Mayfield's lap, forces him to run out right. Another play in the second half, the Browns run a little pick scheme. They throw it to Beckham. And instead of Odell running up the alley, he decides to try to turn it back outside. It's just like every play, there's something little that happens that takes it from either a completion to an incompletion or a 1-yard gain. It could have been a 12-yard gain. It's just there's just little things. I think if you ask those guys up there in Berea about it, they're going to tell you that they're not getting the little things done. And when little things are wrong, I think that's why you see an offense sort of stymie itself like they're stuck right now. I think somebody wrote about this. I couldn't remember recently. They did a nice job of just saying the Browns are close. There are opportunities there on a lot of plays. They're just not, sort of piecing it all together. And there's just a little breakdown every play. And if you want to be good in the NFL, you have to avoid those little breakdowns. So the hope there for Cleveland is that they can avoid those little breakdowns, get all 11 on the same page, and then it will click, and then everybody will be like, where has this been? Well, it's been there. It's just everybody wasn't doing the right thing consistently enough. And hopefully we can, like I said, hopefully the Ravens are very good. They have a ton of talent, but they do leave a lot of holes in the secondary. They gave up 350 yards to Kyler Murray. They gave up 370 to Patrick Mahomes. And, multiple touchdowns. They defend the run well. They've defended the run well since the inception of Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens. That's just who they are. But they do allow you to vertically push the ball downfield, and Baker did that to them 2 times last year. So they have to be able to throw the football and to open that downfield passing lanes. So that's the formula for beating them, because you're just not going to run for a ton of yards on these guys.
Let's stay with the Ravens. When you look at what they do offensively, power running game, Mark Ingram's there, Lamar Jackson, crazy good athlete, and they throw to their tight ends well. Those are two areas historically that the Browns defense hasn't been very good against. How concerned are you that area of the matchup? Browns defense played well against the Rams. It's not a great matchup for what they historically do well and historically struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always concerned playing Baltimore because they're just a unique offense. They're so different than everybody else you play, in part because of Lamar, but in part because of how they attack you up front. They bring multiple tight ends. They will find an issue with how you align, and they will take advantage of it quick. Greg Roman runs this offense dating back to those Kaepernick days really effectively, and they just found the perfect quarterback for it. And really, Mark Ingram signing as a downhill, like you said, power back guy has been ideal for them. It's amazing when I look at their stats. Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown, the rookie from Oklahoma, which a lot of Oklahoma ties, their right tackle Orlando Brown's an Oklahoma kid too. Is that those two are the only guys above 200 or above 100 yards receiving. Everybody else, other than those two guys, is below 100. And both Andrews and I think Andrews has 235 and Hollywood Brown has 285. So those guys are who they want to get the football to. They're going to find Hollywood in man-to-man and let him work against a player who he can outrun. And then Mark Andrews does a nice job finding bubbles in the zone, zone defense. The play action is lovely for Baltimore off of that. So it's dangerous. And now I know Mark Andrews is dealing with a little bit of a foot too, so you hope that slows him down. But they present a unique challenge, and the Browns are short again in the secondary. It appears it's going to hinder them a little bit. But the good thing is, and maybe this is good, maybe it changes, I don't know. In 3 games, Lamar only has 27 charted runs, which means he's probably scrambled a few times in there too. So they're not running him a ton, which does alleviate some of the pressure quarterback run game stuff that he's been so traditionally great at. Now his runs that he has run have been effective, and you have to play it. That's the biggest thing with Lamar is not necessarily him running all the time, but it's just the threat of him running that gives teams such fits defensively because they have to plan for it all the time. So a lot of teams that have found success against Baltimore have used quite a few defensive backs, and that's unfortunate for the Browns that they don't have their full repertoire of defensive backs because you need speed on the field to sort of shut down running lanes with speed and defend all 53 and a half sideline to sideline because that's important with them. They stretch you sideline to sideline and make you defend everywhere. It's a challenge. It's going to be in the passing game. You have to use your front four to get after Lamar Jackson and make him uncomfortable. He threw a couple of throw up footballs last week that could have been intercepted. He hasn't thrown an interception yet, but those were interception worthy plays. The Browns need to create a couple turnovers and then just sort of keep the run game in check as best they can. It's like I said, it's a unique challenge, and it's something the Browns. Here's the thing: the Browns haven't faced an offense quite like Baltimore, but Baltimore hasn't played a defense quite like Cleveland's, who's got a really, really tough front four. So it's a fascinating matchup to see, sort of as a barometer for where these two teams are earlier in the year.
As you look at the Browns defense, who's a guy that if he plays well, things should go pretty good for the Browns. Who's kind of a key for the Browns to shut down that Baltimore game?
I thought last year when the Browns finally got a crack at Lamar Week 17, Joe Schobert didn't play well. I think he has to play well. I think he has to be able to fill run game. He can't overrun stuff in gap responsibilities, quarterback option, things like that. He did not play well last year. I think he's playing well to start this year if he can be a factor in that quarterback run game a little bit, but also be a deterrent in the pass game like he has been. If he plays a really good, a solid football game and can control the middle of the field like he does, get a hand on a football, sure tackling, those sorts of things, his defensive performance, in my opinion, will sway quite a bit for me.
And when you look at the offense, I ask you the same question. If the Browns are going to be effective against the Ravens defense, what do you see happening? What's an area they're going to look to exploit? And if they're able to do it, the result will be what they want.
Well, I think Odell's been fine. He's been really what we expected him to be. He's been good. I think they have to start getting something more from Jarvis Landry, whether that's catching Baltimore in zone. Like, if you remember last year, Jarvis had a couple big plays down the seams, had a touchdown ball in the second half, had one bounce off his face mask. But he's been a threat against Baltimore's zone coverage when they've played them. And I think he needs to be a more active part of this offense, putting him in situations where he can use his agility, making people miss in the open field. And I think if this Browns passing game is going to be really effective, it looks like they're going to be down Higgins again this week. If it's going to be as effective as we all hope, I think it's going to come down to Jarvis being a better secondary option, because obviously they're down. Down David Njoku and Higgins. Those are your third and fourth options in this whole operation. So I think Jarvis has to be a factor too. But if the Browns want to be really good offensively, they need to be able to run it. I think they last year, Nick Chubb, if you recall, didn't really move the football much on the ground at all. He actually went over the 1,000-yard mark that he was pretty close to at the start of the game, and then went under it because he got tackled for loss a couple of times, something like that. But if you're watching this game as a fan, and if you see in the first quarter and a half, well, it looks like the Browns are actually running the football effectively here, then that means they're probably in pretty good shape, because they can do a lot of things off that. If they're not running the football well, then you're probably going to say, we're going to put Mayfield in a ton of tight spots again and make him make a ton of tough throws. And he's been ineffective when he's been pigeonholed into forced throw situations this year.
Jake Burns from the Orange and Brown Report, breaking it down as always. Great insight on the X's and O's, our Browns expert. As always, great stuff. We appreciate the time, Jake.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Jake Burns from the Orange and Brown Report. Time for us to take a quick timeout, but before we go, explore your interest and find a program that suits you on the path to a brighter future. Cuyahoga Community College offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to try-c.edu. That's try-c.edu to find out more. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we return, we will check in with the Baltimore Ravens. We'll hear what the opposition thinks about the game against the Browns coming up. First place in the AFC North. On the line, more Sports Must Lean, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
Winning enough for a new Saturday morning ritual. That feels like a million. Play the newest instance from the Ohio Lottery.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. The Browns getting ready to head to Baltimore to play the Ravens Sunday. And the Ravens will present a different challenge. Lost their first game of the year against the Chiefs last Sunday, 2-1 on the year. Now the Ravens present a unique challenge for the Browns. They have an athletic quarterback, crazy athletic quarterback in Lamar Jackson, and they have a big physical downhill runner in Mark Ingram. You add that to the fact that they like to throw the tight ends. That presents a challenge for the Browns defense against areas the Browns are traditionally weak in. Ravens players admit they were getting a little tired of hearing how good the Browns were going to be in the offseason. John Harbaugh, he's been impressed with the Browns' defensive front, the defensive front four up front, and he knows that's going to be a challenge for his Ravens offensive line.
I'm very confident those guys can block anybody, on their own. Ronnie and Miles have played each other in the past, so they've gone against each other. Orlando too, a little bit less, but he has. But you're always going to, against the best pass rushers, you're always going to use whatever tools you can. How you organize your protections and things like that to stop guys. But it's not just him. I mean, they got pretty good player on the other side over there who, they got in a big acquisition from the Giants with Vernon. So I just think we're going to have to really be conscious of the whole front four. The inside guys can rush as well. It's the strength of their team. I mean, that's their best group. And they play really hard and they're very physical. And our offensive line and tight ends are going to have to be up for it. And our backs too. Who's that?
Ronnie Stanley.
Ronnie.
Have you seen him take steps forward this year? Is he more comfortable?
He's playing well. Ronnie's playing well. He's playing at a very high level. I think he's playing at a top level. He's had a really good 3 games so far, and I expect him to keep getting better. He works really hard. He works hard in the weight room. He works hard in the meeting room, and he works hard in the practice field. So that's all you can ask for of any player. But he's a young player. I do think he's continuing to improve every week, throughout the last 3 years, really. So expect that to continue.
Coach, you talked about not giving up big plays on defense. And you've seen Beckham before, but not with these guys. I mean, you talk about the challenge of dealing with him and Landry on the other side. Two guys are obviously capable. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 top level receivers. I mean, 2 of the best, two Pro Bowl guys, and they've done it for quite a long period of time, so they know what they're doing. They're going to always try to find those guys. Baker's going to try to find those guys. They're going to try to free them up on routes. It's not just those 2 guys either. They've got some other talented players. So Chubb comes to mind, obviously, and their other receivers will get Higgins back. So they've got plenty of good players.
Mark Ingram's been pretty solid. I know it's not surprising you at all, but what's he added to the offense, and how pleased are you with the fact that he's caught a few, run for touchdowns, done everything?
Well, yeah, we had high expectations for Mark coming in. It was a target for us in free agency. And he came here, and he was excited to be here. He's been a great leader too. All the things you mentioned in terms of how he's playing, but he's also doing it as a leader and a mentor. Just the way he plays, I think, provides leadership because it shows guys how hard and how physical, you can play. So very happy with Mark Ingram.
Are you happy with the way the offensive line has come together in general? I mean, aside from the Miami game, basically the same 5 guys have been on the field for every snap of the season.
Very happy. I think they're playing well. But then again, you look at that and you say, well, we've got a big challenge in front of us now with the Browns. This will be the best defensive front we've played yet. Pretty, I'd say, by a long way. This is one of the best defensive lines in football. So let's just focus on Sunday.
With this offense, RPO for their quick game, they're going to try to run the ball as well. We know they got 2 playmakers at receivers. That's pretty much it so far.
What do you guys need to do to clean up some of those big plays that are happening? I'd imagine you guys think they're happening too often.
Yeah, we just got to be on the same page. We can't be thinking different things versus concepts that we need to stop. The communication wasn't there, and that's what we need to continue to work on. If you remember going back to that play, Marlon was out, so that was a glaring example for me when the young guys come in or guys that's not usually in those spots come in. We definitely got to get them up to speed and communicate and make sure they know what's going on as well.
What are you kind of expecting from your first AFC North game?
I'm expecting a dogfight, man. In the NFL, it's always hard to win, but I'm expecting for us to put out some good tape, correct our mistakes from last week, and see where that leads us at the end of the game.
You weren't here last year, but do
Browns won the AFC?
No, the Ravens were.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you get the sense that some of your teammates were bothered by how much attention they were getting, even though it was the Ravens that won the AFC North?
Yeah, I think especially guys, we have a lot of free time, and in the media, they're talking about OBJ and that tandem and Baker Mayfield, the next, savior. He had a hot start. And then to add on to that, Coach Harbs talked about it a couple of times in meetings, and so guys kind of got tired of it.
We just focused on ourselves. We waited till it came to the week of the Browns, and this week is the Browns, so that's our focus, and that's when we just do us.
What was because you were the defending champs, what were your thoughts when you kept hearing all that hype this offseason about?
I ain't care. I just worry about the Ravens. I don't really care about other teams. I don't, so I really didn't care at all. And they supposed to hype themselves up, because we gonna hype ourselves up, but we just not gonna do it, out of the ordinary. Yeah.
Lamar, we've talked a lot about your improvements as a passer, and those are clear. But have you gotten better as a runner too from year one to year two? Are you more comfortable scrambling, juking guys?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a natural thing.
That's just that's why I'm here. Just when the time comes, take advantage of it. If not, just sit back and pass.
When you were learning the position growing up, which quarterbacks did you identify with? Did you really enjoy watching, and what was it about them that you identified with?
Michael Vick. I watched Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. I watched them all growing up. Drew Brees. I just try to take anything, from their game, to help them succeed, and try to help myself, out on the youth football field.
What are your thoughts on Baker? What were they, during the draft? And do you hear a lot about him, given that you've taken some of his best college weapons in Marquise?
I feel he's a great quarterback. He went number one in the draft for a reason. That's all I can say. He's a cool guy outside of the field too. I talked to him off the field too as well. Seen him out a couple times. He's a cool guy.
Did Mark and Marquise talk about him a lot?
Nah, we worry about ourselves. We don't worry about other teams.
When you have Hollywood, Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews, being part of this team, do you gain appreciation for Oklahoma football a little bit more being around those guys?
Yeah, I see why they were so good, successful. Yeah, guys fast. They can do it all, man. I'm glad they're on my team.
Hey, Lamar, you missed some passes in the Kansas City game. Is that credit to what Kansas City was doing defensively, and how do you?
That was just bad passes. Bad passes. I should throw an accurate ball, a catchable ball for my receiver. Not overthrowing them. When I watched film, I was mad. I was cussing. I was. You can ask Coach Herb. I was mad. I want those back. I feel like the game would have been different. Yeah.
Lamar, I had read that you enjoyed passing more than throwing. Why is that?
I hate running. Only if I have to, But my job is to get the ball to the receivers, the tight ends, running backs. If I have to run, I'll do it. But I'd rather just sit back and pass it.
He makes some pretty good catches. I've seen catches after our battles. Just each and every week he's making those type of catches. So he has great hands, great route running. He's a complete receiver. But like I said, we're excited for the opportunity to go out there and challenge this guy, see what we're made of as well, and to make our plays. So at all times, you got to know where he is on the field. Make sure that we had communication across the board, and that we just finish the play.
Brandon Earl talked about Coach Harbaugh using some of the hype that the Browns were getting maybe as a bit of a motivation in some team meetings and things like that over the course of the offseason. What did you take away from that?
It was just talk. I've been here for 12 years. You guys crown people every offseason, which is pretty cool to see, right? You have your great stories and all those good things, but that's what you get paid to do, right? And that's exciting for people to read and to get into. Me, on the other hand, I have a job to do as well. That's to make sure that my unit, this organization that I'm representing, that we're out there playing our best ball, and I'm out there giving my all just as well. So while you're out there doing your job, I was doing mine, working out, training for this opportunity, for this moment, week 4. Great opportunity for us to go 1-0 in our division, go 3-1, and defend home turf. So that's what it's all about. And we can wake up on Monday and see what the storylines read.
Yeah, was there a certain level of disrespect that you feel, given that you guys?
I always feel disrespected. What? Are you serious? Are you crazy? Yeah, we always feel disrespected. You just say all types of things about us, but it's all good now. We can't control that, right? It's they got some acquisitions in the offseason that made people excited. We got excited as well. So it's great. You know, it's good for football. It's good for our division. I think our division is one of the toughest and, you know, has a lot of talent in it and added talent as well. So good for business, right? Let's go to work.
First AFC North game of the year, the Browns and the Ravens. If the Browns can come away with a win, they'll be tied for first with the Ravens at 2-2 after 4 weeks. Well, Northeast Factory Direct, big-time savings on the big-ticket items without question. There's no gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales or typical retail nonsense, just 3 huge bare-bones warehouses filled with some of the same stuff found in a number of the big box stores. One significant difference, at Northeast Factory Direct, these items are about half the price of regular retail. Bottom line is nobody is going to touch their everyday savings or quality. If you want nice big-ticket items to improve your home and you want to pay half the price of what most people pay, you have to go to Northeast Factory Direct. 3 locations, West 140th in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, Ohio, and Freeway Drive in Macedonia. You can also check out everything at northeastfactorydirect.com. Huge savings with Northeast Factory Direct. We're going to step aside and take a quick time out. When we return, we'll hear from Ryan Fowler, Fowler's 5. Legalized sports wagering just over an hour away from downtown Cleveland at Presque Isle Downs and Casino. We'll check in with Fowler's 5 when more sports and less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition continues. Stay with us.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Want to remind you that legalized sports wagering just a little over an hour away from downtown Cleveland, right off I-90, Presque Isle Downs and Casino in Erie, Pennsylvania. They have the Bet America Sportsbook. 50 state-of-the-art kiosks. You walk in, it's touchscreen. It's very easy to place a bet. Legalized sports wagering just an hour away, Presque Isle Downs and Casino. Well, time to welcome in our point spreads expert. When we talk point spreads, we bring in Ryan Fowler. And Ryan, appreciate the time very much. Let's take a look at Fowler's 5. We're going to begin with the Browns, getting 7 in on this line from the Ravens on the road against the Ravens. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, a tough matchup, obviously, within the division, against a rival. But let's look back at the Browns game against the Rams. I think they showed a lot of progress. I know it wasn't the end result that a lot of people wanted. I know Freddie Kitchens got a lot of help for the play calling, even though some people wonder if Baker checked off at the line. But there was improvement there. The line, yeah, Baker got sacked. That's going to be a big thing throughout the year. As long as the O-line's protecting Baker Mayfield, they have a chance. But I think 7 points in a divisional matchup where the Ravens defense isn't what it used to be. Seattle's Legion of Boom isn't what it used to be. The Ravens defense isn't what it used to be. I think this can be scored on, and I think 7 is too many points. I'll take the Browns in the 7.
We'll move on, and a game with the Patriots. The Patriots favored by 7 against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah, in Buffalo, their defense is legit. There's no doubt about that. But their offense is still a little suspect. They struggled to score points against the Bengals defense last week, and it cost them. I think there's a lot to like about what the Bills are doing this year, but the Patriots are rolling, right? I know they don't have Antonio Brown anymore, but it didn't seem like they needed him to begin with. I think it was just kind of an addition there, and now you have addition by subtraction, right? But you go into Buffalo, tough place to play, but I think the Patriots are rolling right now. And the best offense for the Bills right now is their defense turning the ball over or forcing a turnover, and then Josh Allen getting to work with a short field. I don't think Tom Brady is going to be handing out too many gifts this weekend, and I think that the Patriots are able to cover the 7. Tough game, but I like the Patriots with their way they're playing here early on.
We'll move on. The Chargers are favored by 15 against the Dolphins. I think you and I would be favored against the Dolphins at this point. Chargers 15-point favorites on the road in Miami. Who do you like in this one?
This one makes me a little nervous. I'm not going to BS you on that one. I think this one's a little bit suspect only because they do have to travel across country and play at Miami. Miami kind of hung around with the Cowboys the first half, but I do like the Chargers in this. The funny thing is, if you want a reason to fade my pick and go the opposite direction, when you look at the consensus picks and with how many points that the Dolphins are getting, this is a 50-50 split. So whereas you looked at the Patriots matchup, you looked at the Cowboys matchup, and everybody was on the Cowboys and Patriots. This one with the Miami Dolphins at home, getting 15 on their home turf, it's 50-50 right now against the spread. So I would understand why people would want to go the other way. I think that the Chargers, again, they have a lot of faults. They're not perfect, but I think even against the Miami Dolphins, with their pass defense as bad as it is, Phillip Rivers, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, they chop it up and they get the cover on the road.
We'll move on. Another interesting matchup, the Vikings at the Bears. Bears at home favored by 1.5 against Minnesota. Who do you like in that one?
This seems like one of those games where Kirk Cousins melts down. You have to play on the road, and Cousins isn't the sharpest guy when there's a lot of pressure on him, when the lights are on him. And this is a big divisional matchup. The Vikings have been rolling right now with Dalvin Cook. It really hasn't been Kirk Cousins. It hasn't been Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. It's been Dalvin Cook, the running back who's been injured the last 2 years. But the Bears' rush defense is so good, Dalvin's going to have to break through that to really get that offense clicking. I do expect the under to hit in this matchup, but I also like the Bears at home to cover the small spread. I'll take the Bears.
And we move on the final of Fowler's 5. Cowboys at the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback for New Orleans. Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites on the road in New Orleans. Who do you like in that one?
So last week I took the Seahawks giving 4 to the Saints. Now, if you go back to that matchup, the Seahawks spotted the Saints 14 points early. There was a punt return for a touchdown, and then there's a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So if you subtract those 14 points, Teddy Bridgewater's offense didn't do enough to catch the Seahawks. The Seahawks would have blown them out. So I'm still a little nervous about Teddy Bridgewater running that offense. It's completely different, obviously, without Drew Brees there. It's just not clicking on all cylinders. And the defense is stepping up and was able to get that straight-up win at Seattle last weekend against the Cowboys. I think you run into a buzzsaw here. The Cowboys are playing really good football right now. Their defense is way better than the Seahawks, and I think that the Cowboys are going to be able to cover here on the road. Tough matchup, but Teddy Bridgewater's offense doesn't inspire me to take him this time.
There it is. Fowler's 5. Ryan Fowler, always good stuff. Appreciate it very much. And Ryan Fowler with Fowler's 5. We'll check back in with Ryan again next week. Want to remind you, Presque Isle Downs and Casino, just a little over an hour away from downtown Cleveland. Legalized sports wagering right off of I-90. And some early money on the game going the Browns' way. As early in the week, that was up to 7. It has now dropped back. We just checked it. It's down to 6.5 as we speak. The Browns, 6.5-point underdogs. So the early money going on the Browns as they head into Baltimore to play the Ravens, first place in the AFC North at stake. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we return, we'll check in our weekly dose of Maction. Mac Tracks, straight ahead with more sports and less. Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition continues.
Hello, I'm Chad Miles, host of Kentucky Afield, the longest-running outdoor show in the nation. I've had the privilege of watching Kentucky's elk herd grow to the largest east of the Mississippi, attaining Boone and Crockett status. and I've shared in some amazing elk hunts along the way. This year, nearly 600 tags are available to the public, and you can take your pick of tags to put in for and possibly go on the hunt of a lifetime. Simply apply by April 30th for your chance to hunt elk right here in Kentucky.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
We're almost out of time on this edition of More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. But before we go, we always have to have some action. We have exciting and impressive wins in football, golf teams that are above par, and an exciting win in soccer over a Big Ten power team. Heather Klatt has that and more in this week's Mac Tracks.
Hey everyone, it's Heather, and this is Mac Track, your weekly look back at everything Mac sports related. Well, the calendar says it's officially fall, but if you walk outside, it definitely still feels like summer, which is why we're going to start over on the golf course. We had 4 programs win their respective tournaments. The Ball State men claimed the Golf Week Conference Challenge title by 15 strokes. Their women's team won the Cardinal Classic with 2 individuals finishing in the top 5. Central Michigan women claimed the program's first tournament trophy with a team score of 309 at the Golden Grizzlies Invitational, and the Kent State women won their second straight tournament with a 5-stroke victory at the Mercedes-Benz Intercollegiate. Moving over to the soccer pitch, Western Michigan took down Michigan State on Friday in East Lansing 1-0. This is the 3rd time the Broncos have defeated the Spartans, the last being 26 years ago. Western Michigan improves to 4-2-1 on the season and is tied with Bowling Green on top of the men's soccer standings. We are officially in conference mode over on the volleyball court as the women begin their conference play on Thursday with 2 matches set for ESPN+. Here's a look at the standings as we start the 8-week conference season. Akron and Central Michigan sit on top of those standings for their respective divisions as both teams are currently riding a 5-game winning streak. There may be 42 days until midweek action returns, but we are already in mid-season form. Check this out. Eastern Michigan's Matthew Sexton blocks, catches, and runs it back for a 30-yard TD to give the Eagles a 34-29 win over Central Connecticut State. Buffalo closed out their non-conference schedule with a 38-22 win over Temple. Toledo is also flying the flag after a 41-35 victory at Colorado State. Sophomore Bryant Koback ran for 228 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Rockets. Toledo is also our college football 150th anniversary spotlight this week, so make sure you're following along at Max Sports on all social media accounts as we look back at their history. We'll catch you guys next week.
Well, that'll do it. Heather Klatt with this week's Mac Tracks. We're going to step aside and we'll say goodbye. Remember, More Sports and Les Levine will be back on the air 6 to 7 Monday with Les Levine, and legalized sports wagering just a little over an hour away at Presque Isle Downs and Casino. 50 state-of-the-art Bet America sports kiosks throughout that casino, and early money is on the Browns as they are down to just 6.5-point underdogs, down from 7. So Baltimore 6.5-point favorites over the Browns as we speak. Have a great weekend, everybody. Remember, Les back in the chair Monday from 6 to 7 on More Sports and Les Levine.